لله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون صدق الله العظيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أعلن على بركة الله افتتاح أعمال القمة العربية الإسلامية المشتركة الغير عادية. أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو والدولة، الأمين العام لجامعة الدول العربية، الأمين العام لمنظمة التعاون الإسلامي، الحضور الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسرنا نيابة عن سيدي خادم الحرمين الشريفين الملك سلمان بن عبد العزيز آل سعود أن نرحب بكم في بلدكم الثاني وأن ننقل لكم تمنياته بنجاح أعمال هذه القمة. يأتي انعقاد هذه القمة في ظروف استثنائية ومؤلمة، ونؤكد في هذا الصدد إدانتنا ورفضنا القاطع لهذه الحرب الشعواء التي يتعرض لها أشقائنا في فلسطين وراح ضحاياها الآلاف المدنيين العزل من الأطفال والنساء والشيوخ، ودمرت فيها المستشفيات ودور العبادة
women and elderly, as well as the worship houses were demolished, and we've continued to coordinate with our brothers and relevant parties to put an end to this all. In this context, we request the immediate ceasefire and to provide safe corridors to deliver the humanitarian aid, as we reiterate the protection of civilians and prisoners and innocent peoples. And we requested the UN Security Council to put an end to the aggressive aggressions of the Israeli that based on the international law. Therefore, we requested a coordinated, comprehensive and collective stance and to work together and to break the siege and to deliver the humanitarians to the peoples in Gaza. The kingdom is reiterated the absolute rejection of the siege and to hold the responsibility of the occupiers.
Stability in the region is to end the occupation, siege and settlement, and for the brotherly Palestinian people to obtain their legitimate rights and to establish their independent state and the 67 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital, which ensures the stability of security and stability for the region and its countries. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And now I
give the floor to the Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Ghaid to address the summit. His Royal Highness Crown Prince Salman Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz, Majesties, Highnesses, Excellencies, respected audience, the Israeli war on Gaza actually is our responsibility. We are interested to that this war is at its final phase. Israel wanted since day one that they would like to evacuate all and leave all their inhabitants, leave this Gaza Strip. Israel wicked wishes that one of its ministers threatened to nuke the Gaza Strip. Against the inhabitants resisting all this aggression, actually they deserve all our respect and due attention. Israel actually so far killed more than 11,000 civilians, 70% of them women and children, and trying to make ethnic cleansing of this strip, and they say in front of all the whole world. And this actually breeds hatred in the coming generations. Also, we call upon all the international powers to eliminate the Palestinian people from the evils of the Israeli aggression. Actually, we noticed that the insistence of some powers, actually, they would like to emphasize only what happened on October 7, neglecting the carnage and massacres by Israel. Your Majesties, Excellencies, through different or short phases, we'd like to stress new points that the complete cessation of fire should be the top priority of everybody that's working with this field, and this priority comes at any other priorities, which means that not to expand and the war and spilling it over to other regions, and also to save the Gaza inhabitants. Also, this enforced in displacement of Gaza is from the eastern Palestine is a flight violation of the international humanitarian law, and it's only the extremist powers of in the Israeli society. They won't like they don't like to give up their own ambitions. Actually, this is not going to be viable, and we are not going to make them actually achieve the fascist ambition. There's no talk about the future of Gaza in separation of the future of the West Bank and Eastern Jerusalem. These are the elements of the state of Palestine, let's say, based on the UN Resolution 242 in 1960 war. Any talk about any security coordination with Israel without any political solution for the cause is a waste of time and effort, and it actually will make to come back to square one. Well, Majesties, Highnesses, Excellencies, the attitude in the dealing with in the West with the organizing of this conference, dealing with having a political solution based on the two-state solution, despite all the heinous stands that are shocking to us by some statesmen and countries, the public opinion in the world represented by the world people actually is unprecedented situation after it is awakened from all the atrocities made by Israel. Here, I think that we have to respond to all those calling for international conference, hoping that's going to reach a political solution, applying the two-state solution adopted by everybody except for the occupation, the Israeli occupation. Well, we are commending all the resistance made by Gaza inhabitants and calling for us to support them. They deserve actually every possible support in facing this aggression. In conclusion, we are praying that Allah will alleviate all the infliction and all the losses inflicted on and also to peace and rest in peace all the souls of those who fell martyrs. And also today we pray for the soul of Yasser Arafat. Today is the day of his passing away, and wishing that this war will come to an end. And thank you for listening. We thank the Arab League Secretary General. Now I give the floor to the OAC Secretary General to deliver his speech.
In the name of Allah, peace and a blessing be upon our Prophet Muhammad and his household. The chairman of the Prime Minister, His Excellency Mahmoud Abbas, the President of State of Palestine, Mr. Ahmed Abul Gheit, Secretary General of the Arab League, peace be upon you all. At the very beginning, I would like to express my deep thanks to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia under the wise leadership of the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz, and His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz, the Crown Prince, for the kind invitation of holding and convening this summit, and for warm hospitality, and for the means used to make this summit successful. Ladies and gentlemen, this Arab Islamic Summit confirms our support to the Palestinian, unwavering support to the Palestinian people, and our commitment to defend the Palestinian cause and Al-Quds Sharif cause as well. This is the ultimate goal of our organization, and we have seen the horrible and heinous crimes committed by the the occupying forces in Gaza without any conscience at all, and this is should be documented, and using the international and legitimate mechanisms and legal mechanisms to be able to confront such aggression and such atrocities. And we call on the immediate ceasefire against such atrocities committed against the innocent Palestinian people, and to open and create safe passage to deliver permanent humanitarian aid and assistance, and to ensure the safety of the Palestinian people. And we confirm our total rejection of forced evacuation and displacement of the Palestinian people, and take the necessary measures needed to confront such a policy. And the Palestinian and the occupied forces should comply the international resolutions and the conventions. The justice and the comprehensive solution requires joint actions and joint efforts to reach peaceful settlement, international settlements, allowed to put an end to such occupation and to create a Palestinian state. According to the international resolution, as the Quds as its capital, and to implement international resolutions and the relevant Arabic initiatives in this regards, we hope that this summit will achieve the ultimate goal to serve the Quds Sharif. Thank you.
We thank the OIC Secretary General, and I give the floor to to UNRWA Commissioner General Philip Lazzarini to deliver his speech.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the Joint Extraordinary Summit. The past month has been incredibly painful for all of us. UNRWA, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, is in mourning for 101 colleagues confirmed killed in Gaza. On Monday, United Nations flags worldwide will be at half-mast to honor the memory. Across the Gaza Strip, more than 10,000 people have reportedly been killed, with the majority to be women and children. Many more are surely still under the rubble. The Israeli forces have pushed over 1.5 million people out of the north of the Gaza Strip. More than 700,000 women, children and men now live in UNRWA schools and shelter. I was in Gaza last week, my first time since the war started. What I saw will mark me forever. Every little girl and boy I met in an UNRWA shelter asked me for bread and water. Children used to learn and laugh in the school I visited. Now the school is an overcrowded shelter that lacks the minimum standard for a dignified life. The continuous bombardment, together with the siege, are choking Gaza and its people. Basic services are crumbling, everything is running out: food, water, medicine and fuel. And the dramatic development in Al-Shifa last night pushed many health staff and wounded people to leave. Excellencies, I have 13,000 colleagues in Gaza. Most are displaced. Many continue to work. They operate 150 UNRWA shelters. They keep 1/3 of our health center open and manage mobile clinic. They deliver medicine to hospital. They deliver flour to bakeries and bring bread back to the shelter. My colleague Maha calls her job a mission impossible, especially when she tries to reassure her children every morning that they will not die. Excellency, Today, Gazans feel dehumanized and abandoned. They are yearning for reassurance, especially from their Arab and Muslim brothers and sisters, that they hear the crying of the children and see the fear in the eyes of the mothers. On Thursday, I addressed the international conference convened in Paris to support civilians in Gaza. I warned of the danger of double standard. I explicitly described the ongoing campaign aimed at dehumanizing Palestinians. I also firmly stated our position against the forced displacement of the people of Gaza, most of whom are descendants of Palestinian refugees. I cautioned against the spillover of the conflict into the region. The West Bank has reached a boiling point with the Israeli forces and settler violence claiming lives daily. The Lebanon-Israel border is simmering with tension. Excellencies, the Palestinians in Gaza have always relied on the Arab and Muslim world for solidarity. Today, they also need you to turn this solidarity into further and stronger action. I am seeking your support for three specific and urgent matters. First, to reach a humanitarian ceasefire with strict adherence to international humanitarian law. We must insist on protecting civilian and civilian infrastructure, including United Nations facilities and hospitals. This should be our recurrent request. I'm sure that many of you can influence action on the ground. No effort should be spared at this point. Second, a meaningful and continuous flow of humanitarian aid is essential. We must make the flow of supply match the immense humanitarian needs. But the logistic and the verification of trucks by Israel are extremely cumbersome. They only allow a limited number of trucks into Gaza. We must increase the volume of aid and use other crossings, including those within Israel, like Kerem Abu Salem. Third, UNRWA urgently needs funds and new voice. UNRWA is not only the largest UN agency in Gaza, but also the last remaining lifeline for 2.2 million people. We can offer much more if we have the means. I sincerely thank the countries that have already announced contribution for the generous response, and I respectfully call on other members of the League and the OIC to also show your solidarity by supporting UNRWA. I want to tell the people in our shelter that the Arab and Islamic world tasked us to help them and gave us the resource to do so. Finally, I need you to firmly defend the agency against false and insidious claims that its schools teach hatred or that it has let the civilians of Gaza down. This accusation comes from those who want us to fail. They fuel a toxic and deeply polarized environment. To conclude, we must also consider the day after a political solution has become a matter of life and death for millions of people. A genuine prospect of Palestinian statehood is critical. We must step back from the brink before it is too late. I urge you, members of the Arab League and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, to act now to change the trajectory of this crisis. With your support, UNRWA is ready to do its part. Thank you.
أشكر معالي السيد فيليب على كلمته والآن نبدأ جلسة المناقشات أدعو فخامة الرئيس
Mahmoud Abbas to deliver his speech.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. This is a recitation from the Holy Quran, which calls for peace and patience. His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, distinguished heads of delegate, peace be upon you all. They believe that their power will protect them. And I say, we are the owners of the land and its properties, and Palestine unites us, and the occupation will be removed. And I talk to you today while the Palestinian people are assaulted by the most atrocious war crimes trying to eradicate the Palestinian people, while the cowardice Israelis use their war machines to flagrantly violate human rights and international laws and have passed all red lines in Gaza Strip by injuring and killing more than 40,000 civilian Palestinians, most of them children, women, and elderly. In addition to destroying thousands of homes on toppling these homes on the heads of their occupants. This is only in the first month. Can you even imagine what would happen over the next few months? What would happen to Gaza over months of this occupation? And at the same time, the West Bank and Al-Quds are under daily murders and violations to its citizens by the Israeli regime. The Palestinian people are sad and angry by the death of thousands of children and the eradication of entire families and the destruction of hospitals, mosques, and churches in Gaza. And my mind is boggled and cannot believe that this is happening in front of the eyes and ears of the international community without calls for stopping this brutal ceasefire, without calling for an immediate ceasefire of these brutal hostilities before more Palestinians are lost to this for the aimless conflict, and without there being justice for the Palestinian people. And I am sure that you will not accept this, and the free people of the world will not accept duplicity of standards, and for the Palestinian people to still be victims of this genocide. The occupation forces in Israel and people who stand by them and protect them are responsible for the death and injury to all Palestinian children and women in this unjust war. And we will chase these people, and we will call for them to be held responsible in these international courts, international conferences. And therefore, we call for the world, and we say that the United States of America, who has the most effect on Israel, is responsible and liable for there not being a political solution. And we ask the United States to stop the Israeli aggression and to stop the occupation and to end it and to protect our people. Yes, we request the United States of America, we call upon the United States of America to do this. Your Royal Highness, the head of the Arab League and the OIC, we are all in a historic turning point, and we must all rise up to the occasion and our responsibilities to achieve peace and stability for everyone in our region, and so that this aggression does not continue. Once again, we would like to state the following. First, we request the Security Council to abide by its responsibilities to stop this aggression immediately, and to allow the installation of medical supplies and food supplies, and to provide water and electricity and food into Gaza, and to stop the forced displacement of the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank. And we refuse this entirely. Second, we will not accept military solutions or security solutions after all of them have failed utterly, and after the occupation have hindered the two-state solution and have increased their settlements and have increased their attempts to commit genocide and their flagrant violations of international laws and their desecration of Islamic and Christian holy sites. And we will continue our efforts on our lands, and we will not negotiate when it comes to our inalienable rights. Third, we must emphasize that Gaza is a part of the state of Palestine, and there must be a comprehensive political solution for all of the Palestinian lands, to include the West Bank and Gaza. And we refuse the Israeli piracy on our funds. And we have not for one day set aside our issue. And the amount of funds that we have spent on Gaza since 2007, more than $20 billion. And this is our responsibility. This is our responsibility, I repeat, towards our people. We must provide them with services for health, for education, for electricity, for water, and the salary of employees and Social Security. Fourth, we call upon the Security Council to rectify the state of Palestine and to hold and to provide these, to hold the international community accountable and to protect the Palestinian state and people, which is what we have called for time and time again. However, unfortunately, we are left alone in front to face the Israeli occupation. We need the protection of the international community. We need a plan for a viable political solution to achieve sovereignty for our state, and we call for the Arab peace solution to be implemented, and for there to be a Palestinian state with East Quds as its capital, and to follow the UN Resolution 149. And we request a timeline to implement all of these actions. And this is what the Palestinian state is adhering to, and the PLO adheres to. We are the only sole representative of the Palestinian people. Fifth, we call for international support to help the Palestinian state's agencies, to support its people, which includes rebuilding Gaza and implementing your resolutions regarding supporting the budget of the government and to provide financial stability to the state, which was agreed upon in the previous Arab leagues, specifically in these unique times. In addition, providing resources to enhance the Palestinian economy. And we hope that this will be as soon as possible. And we emphasize that we will continue our reform programs in our organizations. And we are ready for new presidential and general elections that all of the state of Palestine can participate in, including Al-Quds. And in closing, I thank His Royal Highness, I thank His Majesty, the custodian of the two holy mosques, and my brother, His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, the Prime Minister, the chairman of this summit. And I thank your Highnesses and your Excellencies for your stances and your noble stances with stance with the Palestinian people. And I would be remiss if I did not thank the countries of the world and the people of the world that have condemned this aggression and call upon a just providing the Palestinian people with their just rights. And I would like to mention the martyr Yasser Arafat, and I tell our people, we are still here. We are resisting and we are coming back. And we will be victorious by the grace of God. Peace and blessings be upon you all.
Thanks go to the President of State of Palestine. Now I give the floor to His Majesty King Abdullah of Jordan to deliver his speech.
The name of Allah, the most merciful, and peace be our Prophet Muhammad, my brother, the Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, Your Excellencies, peace be upon you all. I would like to thank my brother, the custodian of the Holy Mosque, King Salman bin Abdulaziz, and my brother, the Crown Prince, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, for hosting this joint Arab Islamic Summit. We gather today for Gaza and its people. When are they encountering killing and destruction in a heinous war that must be stopped immediately? Or that our region may have a big damage that will be paid by the innocent, by the two sides, and its result may extend to the rest of the world. This aggression did not start a month ago, but it's an extension for more than 7 decades. Where the mindset of castle and wall mindset has continued and prevailed, and most of its victims, civilians victims. So it's the same mindset that want to transfer Gaza to a place that cannot be lived, that target mosques and churches and hospitals, and also that killed doctors and relief teams and even children and elderly people and women. So my question today is, do the world have to wait this human tragedy and the massive destruction until the world realizes that the just peace that gives the Palestinian brothers their legitimate rights on the two-state solution? It is the only way for stability and to get out of the scenes of killing and violence that continues for decades. Our dear leaders, the aggression or the oppression on our Palestinians is evident for the failure of the international community to guarantee their rights and their dignity and their self-determination and to have their own independent country based on the 1967 borders with its capital, East Al-Quds. And we cannot be silent on what Gaza Strip is facing, that forbid the access of drugs and medicines, and there must the humanitarian corridors to be stable and sustainable, and we cannot accept to stop the food and medicine and water and electricity from the Gaza people. This attitude is an act of war and criminal war. The world that must condemn, and Jordan will continue to perform their duty by sending the humanitarian aid to our Palestinian brothers in all possible means. Our dear leaders, the resolution of the General Assembly of the United Nations in regard of Gaza is a victory for the human values and for the right to live in peace, and also it's an international consonance to refute war, and it is a resolution became out of the efforts of the Arab states, and this resolution must be a first step to work together to build a political alliance to stop the war and also stop the displacement immediately, and to start a serious operation and process for peace in the Middle East, and not allow to hinder it under any condition, or the alternative will be extremism, hatred, and more tragedies. The Islamic values and the Jewish values and the humanitarian values do not accept the killing of the civilians that happens during the previous weeks of killing and destruction, and we cannot accept that our cause, or the legitimate and just cause, to transfer to a place for conflict between generations. And now we'll say to the whole world and all believers in peace, and also for the human dignity, no matter what their religious and language background, that the world will pay the price of failures for the solution of the Palestinian cause, and also to resolve this problem. Thank you, everyone. Peace be upon you.
We thank His Majesty King Abdullah of Jordan, and now the floor is given to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of Egypt to deliver his speech. In the name of God, the most gracious, most merciful, my brother, His Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz, Chair, Majesties, Highnesses, Excellencies, His Excellency the Arab League Secretary General, His Excellency Secretary General of OIC, ladies and gentlemen, peace be upon you all. Allow me first to express my deepest thanks to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for hosting this summit, this extraordinary summit, in these critical conditions. Actually, it's quite very hard for Gaza people, innocent people who are suffering, killing, blockade, with the inhumane practices that actually reflect reminiscent of what happened in the Middle Ages. And thus we are calling upon the international community, if they would like to protect the minimum level of human values. Well, as you know, it is quite hard for the Palestinians. It is hard for us and all other people who have live consciences. We are very sad that this also reveal the evils of double standards and imbalances and rejection of all the claims that unfortunately actually they fell categorically in this test. Respected audience, Egypt denounced from the very beginning the killing of innocent people and also scaring all civilians of both sides and all the by the international human laws. And we are reiterating today once again that this denunciation and this condemnation in the stronger terms, and also we stress that the policies are of collective punishment for Gaza people in terms of killing, enforced displacements and killing cannot be justified by the right to self-defense, and any other attempt should be stopped immediately. The international community, especially the Security Council, is held accountable for to have a decisive action to stop this. First, the immediate and sustainable ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Second, that stopping all the practices that lead to enforced displacement for Palestinians to any other place other than their homes. And also, the international community should assume its responsibilities for having the safety of all civilians in Gaza. Also, safeguarding of safe exits and corridors and passages for humanitarian aid. And also, we hold Israel accountable for its responsibility as an occupier. They have to reach a formula to settle this conflict based on the two-state solution and establishment of the independent state of Palestine in the 1967 borders with its capital, with Quds as its capital. To have an international investigation of all that been taking place and committed again in terms of violation of the international law. Respected audience, Egypt has more than once reiterated its warning against these policies of Israel, and also now we are reiterating that if we stop short of stopping war in Gaza, actually will harbinger the expand or spilling over of these hostilities, whatever all the self-restraint attempts that and its unprecedented level of aggression that can change all the equation and that can be changed overnight. In conclusion, I would like to call upon all the international active powers and the international community at large and telling them that Egypt and Arabs, we sought the path of peace for decades and years, and we also delivered all the peace initiatives. And now it's time for you to assume your responsibility to press to stop the bloodbath and bloodletting of the Palestinians, and also to address the roots of this conflict and getting back the rights to its owners, and to establish all and getting back rights all the peoples in the regions to live in peace without any scare or fear, and without any children killed, and being over the coming generations suffering and having nothing except for hatred. Let the world be united, peoples and governments, to reach a lasting and just a solution for the Palestinian cause that will come in line with all our values and also with the international values in terms of justice and respect of rights, all rights, not only some of them. Thank you once again. Thank you for listening. Thanks go to the Egyptian President Dr. El Sisi, and now the floor is given to the President Recep Erdogan of Turkey to deliver his speech.
In the name of Allah, most merciful, most compassionate. Your Excellencies, leaders of states and governments, head of governments, my deep thanks and appreciation and peace be upon you all. In your presence, I express my deep thanks and gratitude to the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz, and the Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz. And I would like also to thank the delegates, and hopefully this meeting, this summit will be a means of prosperity and good for the Palestine and the entire Islamic world. Today from this we express our stance at the level of the Muslim world regarding the Palestinian cause, and will reinforce our situation through the resolution taken, and we will implement them today as words are enabled to describe the unspeakable atrocities committed in Gaza. The hospitals, temples, schools, a campus have been targeted, and the ambulances and aid convoys were attacked brutally. So we have seen the remains, the bodies of the innocent children laying in the vicinities and yards of hospitals, and mothers holding their babies while they lost their lives, and fathers tirelessly try to save their children from under the rebels. And for about 36 years, we have seen such horrible scenes and recorded in our and engraved in our memory. So Israel tries and attempts to revenge from the events of 7 October, not supported by the most of us, by killing civilians and the children and women. Today, we cannot accept we cannot accept and condone what Israel is doing. No doubt, our brother in West Bank are negatively impacted, and based on UN reports, those who left their lives of the Palestinian, about 12,000 in Gaza and Ramallah, 73 of them children and women. This is frenzy state cannot constitute any excuse for such actions, and the world stand silent, remain silent, is shameful. And Gaza has been collapsed and demolished completely, while the Western nations never asked to cease fire. And if we look into the Shabt Haptu event, in which a number of civilians were killed, while the leaders of the Western countries on a march in Paris denouncing such killings. But right now, the world is standing still without condemning the atrocities. And those who defend America and the Western countries, they claim to advocate human rights, but they have totally ignored the human rights in Palestine. And United Nations at the General Assembly, the voting for supporting the Palestinian cause didn't achieve consensus, and we still wait that the world awake their conscience. The Islamic world expresses the unified stance against this noble cause, and we should exert our efforts. And I congratulate the countries exerted concerted efforts to deliver human aids in cooperation with our Egyptian brothers. We have sent 10 convoys with the humanitarian aids to El Arish airport, and yesterday a ship, civilian ship, with the 660 tons of humanitarian aid and assistance, and which is expected to arrive at Arish today. We will continue our efforts to address the cancers and to provide treatment for cancers and oncology. And we will convene a meeting under supervision of my wife. We will invite ladies and the first ladies of the governments for Palestine. The ultimate goal is to deliver humanitarian aids without any hindrance, and the main cause is to ensure and secure a permanent ceasefire, not a temporary one. And ceasefire for 4 years is unjust, and our stance is the same. And the humanitarian aid should be sustainable without stopping. Starting from hospital, we should as well make access of fuel for hospitals to be able to work and operate. And the northern, the honor was the aid organizations describe the north of Gaza as a piece of hell. And we should exert efforts to open the gateways and make accessible for the humanitarian aids and assistance. And we should exert efforts to hold Israel accountable for crimes committed against humanity. And we should consider as such by the ICC and Security Council, and to initiate investigation in this regard. And for the nuclear weapons, and the International Agency of Atomic Energy should examine and look into such matter, and to inspect and detect the nuclear weapons in Israel. And we cannot condone such sensitive issue, which puts the security of this entire region at risk, and for the compensation. And I think that's what makes Israel to go impunity is not to pay a compensation against crimes committed by Israel of bloodshedding and killing innocent people. And Israel should pay such compensation, because Israel is the country which their actions go unnoticed and with impunity. And we need to establish a fund under the OIC to reconstruct Gaza, and will exert our efforts to revive and to build Gaza, and we pay huge attention for this effort. We wouldn't be able to speak about normalization in the region in isolation and without to find a peaceful solution to the Palestinian cause. The main issue, as you know, that lies in the rights of the Palestinian people and creating their nation, their states on the border of 1967 with sovereignty and with the territorial integrity, with the capital of the Eastern Jerusalem. And the International Peace Conference is the main foundation for the protection of security and safeguarding the peace. We should exert efforts, and we are ready and willing to exert such efforts and to be the guarantor of Palestinian people. And we know. We are fully confident that this kind of efforts will create security and prosperity for the Palestinian people and the entire people and the people of the entire region, including the Israel. Dear brothers and sisters, we should be very cautious to protect Al-Quds, because Israel tries to impose the status quo on the Haram al-Sharif. So many countries, including Turkey and other regional powers, we know for sure that such a practice and such a propaganda of Israel, this is the promising land, and we say that Palestine is a red line for us, and we wish peace and security for Palestine and the Palestinian people, and we express our heartfelt wishes that such peace will prevail. And with such words, I conclude my speech, and wishing and praying to Allah for a speedy recovery for the wounded. And I hope this summit the extraordinary one will be a means of good and prosperity for the entire Islamic world.
Well, we thank the ex-president Tayyip Erdogan for his speech, and now give the floor to the Indonesian president Joko Widodo to deliver his speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Your Royal Highness, Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, Your Excellency, heads of governments of the OIC Forum, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Indonesia supports the very timely convening of this OIC summit, and the OIC must be able to produce concrete results to be able to put an immediate end to Israel's brutality in Gaza. 1 month this atrocity has been going on, and the world appears to be helpless. More than 7.9 billion people in the world, more than 190 world leaders, yet until now, not one person is able to end this atrocity. For that reason, the OIC must be united and be at the forefront to resolve this problem. I would like to make some concrete suggestions. First, a ceasefire must be conducted immediately. Without a ceasefire, the situation will not improve. And Israel has used the self-defense narrative and will continue to murder civilians. This is none other than a form of collective punishment, and we all must find a way for Israel to immediately conduct a ceasefire. Second, humanitarian assistance must be accelerated and its reach expanded. The OIC must suggest an aid mechanism that is more predictable and sustainable. Indonesia has delivered humanitarian aid and will continue to deliver more aid. On the other hand, the humanitarian situation is also very alarming. The Indonesian hospital in North Gaza continues to be a target of Israel's attacks, and they have ran out of fuel. And for that reason, Indonesia urges all parties to respect international humanitarian law. Third, the OIC must use all avenues to demand Israel's accountability for the crimes against humanity that they have committed. For example, urge the granting of access to the Independent International Commission of Inquiry on the occupied Palestinian territory, established by the UN Human Rights Council to undertake its mandate, and to continue to support the advisory opinion process at the International Court of Justice. Fourth, the OIC must urge for peace negotiations to restart immediately in order to achieve the two-state solution and reject the idea of a one-state solution, because it will definitely come at the expense of Palestine. If indeed the quartet mechanism can no longer be relied upon, then the OIC must push for a peace negotiation process with a new format, and Indonesia stands ready to contribute in such peace negotiations. And in closing, once again, the OIC must be united, must be at the front line, use all peaceful means, all of its influences, and all diplomatic efforts to defend justice and humanity for Palestine. And from Riyadh, I've been scheduled on Monday to meet with President Joe Biden to conduct a bilateral visit to the United States. With the permission of leaders, I will convey OIC's decision today to President Biden. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, we thank the Indonesian president for the quote. And now I give the floor to Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad, the Emir of Qatar, to deliver his speech.
Your Majesties, Your Excellency, Your Royal Highnesses, in the beginning, I'd like to thank these blessed efforts by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia headed by the Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman, and His Majesty the Custodian of the two holy mosques. This is a timely summit, truly. This summit today is happening while the people of Palestine are under heinous acts and abuses by Israel, and the international community has failed to adhere to its responsibilities to human rights and to stop these war crimes and genocides in the name of self-defense, and stopping this aggression and senseless war. And our hearts bleed to see children and women and elderly killed wholesale, and they're suffering. And we ask, till when will the international community treat Israel as if it's with impunity and that they are above the law? And till when will they allow them to flagrantly violate all of the international laws and their assault on the original people of that land? What's happening in Gaza is a danger in many levels. There is precedent to see that there is aggression and wars. How is bombing hospitals normal? And then to make things worse, to blame the victims and to say that there are tunnels underneath these hospitals, and then there's no need for justification. And especially when people have now become used to these atrocities. These are unprecedented times. We found before this war, during the surge in Gaza, an increase in the supposed immunity for certain countries to hold Israel accountable to international laws. We see indiscriminate killing of civilians, whether they are children, women, as well as bombing hospitals and refugee camps, and there's no care. And this immunity is so much so that they can see bodies being eaten by dogs, and yet no one moves. It seems that their tolerance has become so high when it comes to the Palestinian people. The international community fails itself before it fails us when they allow to justify such acts. Who would have known that hospitals would have been bombed in the 21st century? And that entire families will be eradicated in civilian neighborhoods and in and refugee camps. Who would see that these were planned activities to forcefully displace people? All of this in front of the eyes of the global community. And then we see Israeli communiques that are clearly without repercussion or without remorse. We stand by the Palestinian people and their just cause, and we continue with our partners in the international community to provide humanitarian aid and to work on to make sure that this aid reaches quickly, even though the Israelis are hindering such efforts. And we call for opening humanitarian corridors around the clock so that aid can reach to those affected without any conditions. And we refuse hindering these aids getting to the people they need, and by political blackmail and saying that they will bomb these humanitarian aids. Aid should reach all of Gaza, and all of this is the least we can do. In addition to that, we are supporting all diplomatic efforts, regionally and internationally, to save the lives of civilians, to include mediating the release of hostages, and we hope to receive a humane ceasefire soon that will help the region. And we once again reaffirm that we condemn any assault on any civilians, regardless of race, creed, or religion. And we condemn the assault and aggression on hospitals, education facilities, and we call upon the UN to investigate immediately regarding the Israeli allegations to so-called justify these assaults. And nothing can justify such crimes. Your Excellencies, you all know how our peoples feel and their stance on this matter, and we must be unified in this course, and we must take a firm stance regarding the issue in Gaza. And we must condemn and denounce, but that's not enough. We must take action to stop this crime, so that the Islamic communities, with their weight, must act. The heinous genocide being done by Israel doesn't just affect the Arab world, but also global our stability. And in conclusion, we confirm again and reaffirm that the only solution that is just in international law is the Arab peace plan, and it is the solution that the global community has called upon for. And we underscore and we reaffirm that it is how the Palestinians will reach prosperity in a two-state solution. And we believe that the Israeli plans for after this war crime is a continuation of their occupational plans that have hindered all peace efforts, and has led to all of this in the first place. And their refusal to accept the Palestinians' inalienable rights. And we do not accept these security procedures while continuing with their colonial mindset and this injustice towards the original people and the indigenous people of Palestine. And we call upon Israel to stop this aggression. And the global community's silence is a license for Israel to continue this. And we call upon the stopping of this.
We thank Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad, Emir of Qatar, and now the floor is given to the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Ibrahim Raisi, to give his speech.
Peace on Palestine and the blood that has been spilled without a cause, and peace on people in Palestine and Lebanon. This is the key and the standard of the Islamic dignity and humanitarian dignity. Mr. Chairman, in the beginning, I'm pleased to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for hosting this the 14th summit, the important summit and the joint summit for the Arab state in these harsh conditions, with the tensions in the region today, and in this extraordinary summit, we're talking about the most important topic, which is the Palestinian cause, which is the worst crimes that witnessed the worst crimes in the history, and also to witness a historical resolution and to take this resolution, and also about the problems in the Islamic world. We can handle them by depend on Allah, and also to depend on the capabilities of Islamic world is the only way to save the Islamic nation. and these organizations can play a crucial role and an important role to embody a scene of solidarity, and the Islamic Republic of Iran realize this truth with the neighboring policy, and also the values, the Islamic values. So today, on behalf of the nation of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, we gathered to help and save the people of Palestine, and also to be with them. And today, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is watching what happened in Palestine. And today, the Prophet of Islam is waiting from and expecting from the Islamic nation and the leaders of Islam states. Today is the day of work. Today is a historical day to defend Al-Aqsa Mosque. Today is the day of the right versus evil day, and today embodies and represent the corruption of the Israeli occupation, with the millions of demonstrations we have seen around the world that represent the cause of Palestine, lays in the heart of peoples. Today is the day of victory, and what we have watched and witnessed during the last 5 weeks in Gaza and Gaza Strip embodies the heinous crimes for international laws and humanitarian laws, but the Gaza is heroic, and in the last 2 decades, because of the blockade that they have, Gaza have encountered, now is known the biggest prison in the world, and also when they encounter unarmed acts of violence. And the Israeli regime has violated the international laws and norms and targeted comprehensively on Gaza Strip. And now the bombs and shelling and the random targeting and to use the illegal bombs to provoke the international community, and up till now, 11,000 of innocent civilians have been killed, and there is still more than 3,000 people are still under the rubble, and most of them are victims of the Israeli strikes, and most of them are the innocent children and women, and also killing the people working in the hospitals, and also bombing hospitals, one of the heinous crimes as well. And what is worse than that, the number that cannot reach the medicine, and when they have the outreach of different diseases, and also the other people that lost their lives as a result of these acts. These people are our sons and our families and our children, and we must be responsible in front of Allah, the Majesty. What is or what are the crimes of these people? And today, what is this? The story of Gaza is the story of dignity against the evil, the pure evil. Today, we must take sides. Are we in the side of in the side of the Palestinian or in the side of the Israeli that destroying the humanitarian values. Our leaders, the heads of Islamic states, of course, the United States of America is the one with order, and it's a partner in these crimes. Israeli is the unlegal son of America, and they prefer the Israeli regime on the lives. Thousands of innocent lives, and the United States of America have created and encouraged the Israeli regime to do these act or criminal act, and also the Zionist regime that is still killing and bombing Palestinians, and this do not go or align with the international laws, and also with the alignment with the American that has actually entered this war in favor of Israel, with the comprehensive support for the Zionist regime in the Security Council with the United Nations, and also not to approve the resolution that have that reject the killing of Palestinians, but the Americans allow or gave the area for more killing. The other American step to also to support the Zionist regime through the different types of the deadly arms, and also to fill the inventory for and finance Israel with billions of dollars, and the war machine for the Zionist regime and their fuel. They are the one who fund Israel, and America is by sending ships, larger ships of weapons and arms daily, on a daily basis, and even to more than 7 nuclear atomic bombs landed on the heads of Gaza people, and this means partnering in these crimes, and there must be or must be escalated to the international courts. And what is worse, that all corruptions lays in America, and by killing millions of people around the world, in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria and other Islamic countries, is the one made by Americans by occupying the world by different deals, and also failing the projects of the international organizations. So they are an essential part in this conflict. So our esteemed leaders, the heads of states, today the Israel aggression is hated by the rest of the world. And it is clear to the rest of the world that this bloodshed entity do not aim do not aim to control and to exert efforts for peace. So what we need to do, and now that the international organizations that must do their parts, and they must, or we must control, as in the beginning, in a dialogue with the Islamic leaders, that we must held this conference. I wish that we held this conference before 1 month, but this meeting or this summit, I wish that it will be resulted by issuing a resolution in favor of Palestinian people. The first step is the immediate ceasefire and killing of civilians in Gaza, and also the termination of random killing for civilians. We must not allow for the Zionist regime and those who support them, and through offering the evidence and the provide all the evidence. So we must use all the mechanism and means to force America and the Zionist regime to terminate and to stop the killing. And we realize that the resistance of Gaza people in Gaza Strip, if it's not the resistance in front of the violations or Zionist expansions in Lebanon as well. Today, we witness that the Arab Islamic states are encountering a war with the Zionism. And also the second thing, the lifting of the blockade without any restriction or condition for Rafah crossing. And also through cooperation with our brothers in Egypt for the accession of medicine and food. So we must agree that by the state leaders, and to implement and also to form an executive delegation and to send this relief. And we must also to open the curators to the humanitarian curators, and also to impose the pressure. And also we call upon for the immediate exit for the militant from Gaza, and Gaza must be restored to Palestinian as it was before and as it is, and also for and not for those who are recruited by the Americans or the Zionist regime. And here today, all the Islamic states and Arab states must perform this right to provide security and stability for the occupied regions. And the fourth one is to cut any political and economic relations with the Zionist regime through the Islamic states, and also the commercial cut to the commercial ties, and especially in on the level of energy level, it must be in our priority. And also we must support the people movement for cut the Israeli merchandise, and also the Islamic number 5. The Islamic State must be familiar with the occupying power, or must be recognized as a terrorist entity, and also to form an international court to punish the leaders of the Zionist regime and the Americans who are in partnership with the Zionist regime. And we must create a special fund for the reconstruction of Gaza, and also to have to send humanitarian aid and relief for the Palestinian people from different countries, especially the Islamic states, and also to name a day for the Zionist Crimes Day, and also the bombing the hospital on the of Al-Mamadani Hospital as a day of war crime. And also the 10th step, that if the Zionist regime continues with its crimes, this unbalanced war, the Islamic State must equip the Palestinian people with arms and weapons. These are the immediate and short-term solutions, but the sustainable solution is what has been affirmed by our leaders for the Islamic Republic in Islamic Republic of Iran, and had been registered in the United Nations, and to have a Palestinian state from the river to the sea, based on the democratic principle. So each Palestinian have one voice, whether he's a Muslim or a Christian, and the leaders of Islamic states during the last 70 years, we have witnessed a lot of solutions, but were of no use, and the Zionists have displaced the innocent Palestinian from their land, from their country, and also settle on their land. And also they have settled a military forces, occupying military forces in their land. The Islamic Republic of Iran in the beginning announced that the Zionist entity is the occupier, and they are illegal settlers. So you must pay attention to the time, and also that 75 years have passed by, and the Zionist regime is the one performing discrimination. So this entity must be stopped, and also we must counter this entity, and it is a legitimate defense, and the sole solution is the resistance, and for decades, and also the resistance that we have witnessed during the 35 years have break the record that represent that there is no solution. We have to expel the occupying forces, and we must kiss the hands and of the resistance. And also we must pray and hail the Gaza people for their resistance. And also I have to affirm that the Islamic Republic of Iran recognize the resistance and the forced displacement. We see it as a criminal war, an act of war, and also we affirm also during these years we can, and the calls that have been issued by the leaders of European states, and also I would like from the countries that supported Gaza, they must, I must thank them, and today the crimes we have witnessed awaken everyone. And today we must stand by the side of people in Gaza, and also we must talk about another point, which is the atomic weapons used by Israel, and it's the only entity in the whole world that see that human. And even with the expansion plans, chemical expansion plans that did not oversee by any international agency in front of the eyes and ears of the international community, and they threatened them and by targeting them with a nuclear weapon. What are the losses? And the threats that we are witnessing, what we need more of these threats to be awakened. And today there are a lot of gains of in the favor of Palestine people, based on the 75 years of resistance and as a result of countries that support Israel regime. Our dear leaders, the Islamic people are consider or think that this is a disgrace when they see the blood of their brothers that has been shed and the countries that provide fuels to the Israel regimes. And also everyone must know that they are subjected to the to this test, and if they are not able to meet us, the Islamic leaders, to be resulted in a step, then more disappointment will increase to defend Palestine. So we can, they can provide by themselves. The heads of state, Mr. Chairman, let me conclude my speech. Peace on Gaza children and martyrs in Gaza. Peace on children that reciting the Holy Quran beside the destruction scenes in Gaza and resort to Allah, and also peace and my gratitude to children and also to my children in Gaza, and peace to you who are meeting today, and also for your and peace be those who are counter this aggressions, and peace to who have filmed and photographed with your small hands the aggressions of the Zionist regime, and or your faces that were spotted with blood, and your broken bones under the American bombs, screaming that we're still standing. And of course, the future is for the resistance, and you are the true heroes. The sons of resistance. We will not let you down. Palestine is, of course, they see it far away, but we see it very close. Quds is for us, and victory is for us, and peace be upon you all.
We thank His Excellency, the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, I give the floor to the Crown Prince of Kuwait to deliver his speech. In the name of God, the most gracious, most merciful, where praise be to Allah, and peace and blessings on Prophet Muhammad, last messenger, his companions, family members. Your Royal Highness, Prince Muhammad bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz, Crown Prince, Prime Minister, where my brothers, majesties, highnesses, excellencies, His Excellency, the Arab League Secretary General, Mr. Ahmed Abul Ghaid, His Excellency, the OIC Secretary General, peace be upon you all. First, it's my honor actually to speak on behalf of the Emir of Kuwait. May Allah and pass his greetings and his wishes for a successful summit. I mean, to the best interest of the Arab and Islamic nations, and also in support of our cause, especially our current crux cause, the Palestinian cause. But it's also my pleasure to express my deepest thanks and gratitude to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia leaders and people for the warm hospitality accorded to us since our arrival to the kingdom, and also for convening this extraordinary summit that gathered both the Arab and Islamic worlds to head off all these miserable circumstances in the Arab-occupied territories as a result of the atrocities of Israel in killing civilians. That is actually, it's a harbinger of negative repercussions upon all the regional and international security and stability. Your Majesties, Highnesses, Excellencies, our summit today is convened while our Palestinian brothers in Gaza Strip are suffering the incredible and beyond imagination crimes committed by Israel in terms of killing, destruction, in a way that confirms its practices of collective punishment that cannot actually be in line with a scene that reveals the double standards adopted and also in violation of all the international norms and laws, the conventions, and also in contravention of the international laws and norms, and also the resolutions in this context. Actually, Kuwait, more than once, reiterated that this tragedy is a result of the international community being lack of and falling short of having a lasting comprehensive peace for this cause. Majesties, Highnesses, Excellencies, we call upon the international community, especially the UN Security Council, to assume its responsibility to stop all the military hostilities and operations, and also to provide the international protection for the Palestinian people. Actually, to safeguard the delivery of urgent humanitarian aids, and also to stop the enforced displacement for the Palestinian people. Also, we have to welcome that the General Assembly resolution calling for a humanitarian pause in Gaza Strip, and actually it reflected the will of the international community and also the reaction of the international community towards this aggression that are committed and perpetrated by Israel. In conclusion, Kuwait reiterates and confirms that the first step to have lasting and sustainable peace in the Middle East actually is to solve the Palestinian cause in a fair and lasting way, once and for all, according to the international resolution and relevant international resolution, also based on the Arab Peace Initiative. Also, we have to reiterate that the Palestinian cause will be always the core of the crux and in the forefront of all the political interests and by the Kuwaiti government in terms of the external world. And also we have steadfast to our stance in support of the Palestinian people to have all the legitimate rights, and especially the establishment of its independent state in the 1967 borders with Al-Quds, the Eastern Jerusalem, as its capital. Thank you for listening. Well, we thank the Crown Prince of Kuwait for his speech, and now the floor is given to the President of Djibouti to deliver his speech.
In the name of Allah, most merciful, most compassionate, praise and thanks are due to Allah alone. Peace and blessing be upon our Prophet Muhammad, who says, who never cares about Muslims community is not one of them. You're the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz, the King of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Your Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, Crown Prince, Prime Minister in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Your Majesties, Excellencies, and distinguished guests, Your Excellency, the Secretary General of IOIC, the Excellency, Secretary General of Arab League, peace be upon you all. At the outset, I express my deep appreciation to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the current the chair of the current session for its kind invitation to convene this summit in this critical times in which the Palestinian people experiencing to ethnic cleansing and genocide amount to a war crime, a fledged war crime. And in this regards, we address the conscious and reiterate our call to immediate ceasefire for the atrocities, barbaric atrocities against defenseless and armless Palestinian people, and to lift the siege imposed on the enclave, and to ensure the immediate delivery of humanitarian aids. And we categorically reject the aggression against the Palestinian people of the collective banishment and deliberate destruction of the infrastructure and the forced displacement and starvation, which goes against international norms and laws and the international humanitarian principles. Your Majesties, the steadfast Gaza with the 2.5 is hostage to this occupation, which forced them to leave their homes and drive their life, their destiny and fate into unknown, depriving them of the basic necessities like food, telecommunication, energy, and the fuel. For the precarious situation, it requires from us to have immediate response from the international community and to exert each avenue and each efforts to face this situation. And we have a historical and remarkable responsibility as Muslim community, Islamic community, and Arab states to rescue and to help our brothers in Gaza by all means. The international order failed to implement the principles of peace, security, justice, and Palestine is a living testimony for that. The humanitarian catastrophe put the international world and the community at a test for holding and assuming the responsibility to force Israel to put an end to the aggression and atrocities, and to fully comply with the IHL and the United Nations resolution in this regard. Bearing in mind such taste, we should show our full commitment and firm belief to defend the Palestinian cause, and it's incumbent upon us to take swift and bold actions, unified actions to cease fire and to shoulder our responsibility to protect the civilian people and to defend their life, their right in life, and to extend a hand to them. we should shoulder and join together with the free people to save this people against which atrocities, massacres are committed and perpetrated against them. And we need to be fully resolved to face the liquidation of this cause and to revive the peace solution on the principles of two-state solutions. And it's the high time that the international community should fully convince that no prosperity or peace in this region without the respect of the rights of all, and no sustainability wouldn't be achieved without giving the rights and legitimate rights of self-determination and to live in independent states on the territory in peace and security and dignity as likewise the other people of the world. I wish the best of success, the best of luck for your summit, and peace be upon you all.
We thank His Excellency the President of Djibouti. And now I give the floor to President Azali Osamani, the President of the Union of the Comores, to deliver his speech. The Crown Prince, His Excellency, the Arab League Secretary General, Your Excellencies, Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen,
heads of delegates, welcome, peace be upon you all. Allow me to thank you very much and to thank His Majesty the Custodian of the two holy mosques and all Saudi entities for inviting us to this summit and all of the actions that were taken to be here in this extraordinary summit. That calls upon us to respond to the plight of the Palestinian people because of the brutality that they are under in Gaza. We all know that since for the last 15 years, Gaza have lived in a small plot of land under brutality and harsh conditions. And most of them are children and women. And the escalation of this violence in the last 2 weeks has resulted in millions of children and women being killed. And many of them are under the rubble due to the leveling of houses, infrastructure, and homes. And more than a million Gazans have been forcefully displaced from their homes due to the heinous acts of the occupier. We, as the international community, need to force Israel and hold it accountable for its disregard and flagrant violation of international law, and call upon the international community and organizations to perform their duties. And we cannot allow Israel to destroy and cause all of this death and to bombard hospitals and to prevent children from receiving their basic needs. So we call up for humanitarian aid because we all believe that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict must not continue. 75 years is enough. A Palestinian state with East al-Quds as its capital and with the borders of 1967 will be the end of the occupation. Then we must work, ladies and gentlemen, to work for human dignity, regardless of what people might believe. We all have the same love and rights. We all have human rights. And as you know, as they are taught in schools, the global sees Gazans and their plight. We see children crying. We hear their cries via the media. We in this hall, we have many leaders, many global leaders, and we must call upon the broader international community to stop these genocides and this ethnocide. In the name of the children of Gaza, and in the name of our humanity, we must know that actions speak louder than words, and we must stop these heinous crimes in order to achieve peace and prosperity in our countries and around the world. Thank you, one and all.
Well, I thank President Osman Ghazali. Now I give the floor to the President of Tajikistan to deliver his speech.
Rahim.
In the name of Allah.
To Chair, Your Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, Crown Prince and Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Heads of Delegations, Excellencies, Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation,
Your Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, we consider the initiative of custodian of the two holy mosques, His Majesty King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, as extraordinary
of the Islamic Summit to convene an extraordinary summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation to discuss the situation in the Gaza, timely and important. The crisis situation in this part of Palestine, which has been going on for more than a month, has caused a huge loss of life, injuries and destruction of vital infrastructure in the region, has deeply worried our countries and the international community. Tajikistan strongly condemns the attack on civilian facilities in Gaza, which led to the death of thousands of civilians, including women and children, caused injuries of a large number of people and destruction of vital infrastructure. Today's situation once again proves the fact that there is no military solution to the Palestinian issue. Since the beginning of the last conflict, our country has called upon the parties to put an end to violence and to sit down around the negotiating table to stabilize the situation. From our point of view, a genuine and enduring solution to the Palestinian issue, ensuring fair, lasting and long-term peace, is possible only via an implementation of decisions and resolutions of the United Nations on the establishment of independent state of Palestine. Tajikistan unwaveringly supports the establishment of the State of Palestine with its Jerusalem as its capital based on the borders of 1967. This is the way through which the Palestinian people can exercise their true national rights and an independent subject of the international community based on the generally accepted principles of international relations. We all know that on November 29, 1947, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution number 181 on the establishment of the two independent states in Palestine. But so far, the dream of the Palestinian people to establish their own state did not come true. Given the situation, other countries and the international community should make efforts to implement the relevant resolutions of the General Assembly and the United Nations Security Council. In this context, it is important to provide the international protection of the Palestinian people and support efforts to resume the multilateral political dialogue process to achieve an enduring solution to the problem that people are facing. Currently, more than 2 million people in the Gaza desperately suffer from a lack of food, electricity, medicine, and other basic living necessities as they remain under complete siege. They expect the international community takes decisive and bold actions to end their tragedy and suffering. While the conflict and bloodshed in this region of the Middle East is intensified, relevant and interested parties are still failed to demonstrate serious and effective actions to stabilize the situation. Moreover, some parties choose to remain silent and ignore the human tragedy that continues today in the Gaza. The OIC, in cooperation with international organizations and stakeholders, needs to take bold steps and to seize the conflict as soon as possible and prevent conflicts and tensions in this region. At the current milestone, it is necessary for the member states of the organization to take practical measures on the basis of a targeted humanitarian plan of action to provide needed and urgent assistance to the Palestinian people. The individual crisis and serious threats and hostile actions that are taking place in the Islamic world today urge us all to unity, solidarity, and consolidation more than ever before. Today, we witness that these factors seriously undermine the stability of different regions of the Islamic world and cause long-term negative economic and social consequences. Millions of people have been forcibly displaced and fled their homes in search of peaceful and better life. Such a sensitive situation makes us all obliged to consistently implement effective measures to ensure the economic and social development of the Muslim Ummah, who has the moral right to live in dignity. I used different tribunes and platforms of the organization in the past and highlighted the need to establish a special investment and development fund for financial and social support of the countries of the Islamic world. And I would like to reiterate that developed economies of the Islamic world, which have eminent experience, tremendous financial potential, and possess abundant investment opportunities, could play an effective and key role. Tajikistan has experienced a devastating internal proxy war in its modern history, supports peace-building actions and peaceful solutions to all kinds of tensions and conflicts worldwide. Distinguished gathering, participants of the summit, we once again call upon the international community, particularly calling on the United Nations Security Council, to strictly monitor the implementation of legal obligations to widely protect the international law and order in relation to the Palestinian people and Palestine. And I finally wish to express a hope that the outcomes of today's summit will remarkably contribute to the launch of the peaceful negotiation process and help to explore the solution of the Palestinian issue. Tajikistan stands always ready and committed to contribute to this process of peace as much as possible. I thank you for your attention.
We thank the President of Tajikistan. Now I invite and give the floor to His Excellency, President of the Arab Republic of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, to deliver his speech.
Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the head of state, Gaza wasn't a cause. Palestine is a cause, and Gaza is embodiment and expression for the suffering of its people. And to talk about Gaza individually will make the compass lost. It's part of a whole, and the final aggression on Gaza is only an event in a long context, last back to 75 years of Zionist crimes with 32 years of failure of peace. It's on a result that cannot be criticized is that the entity increased his aggressions, and the Palestinians' situation were more was more miserable, and there is no right has been restored in Palestine nor Jolan. So this case has a political equation with one result that more of Arab tolerance with you, with them means that more aggression by the Zionist regime and more Zionist crimes. And in the shade of this clear equation, we cannot search on the aggression of Gaza isolated for the context of Zionist crimes for the Palestinians in the past, and to continue this context in the shadow of this equation. We cannot isolate the continuous crimes on how we handle as Arab states and Islamic states with the repetitive occurrence partially of the Palestinian cause, and to continue with to deal with aggression on Gaza with the same methodology, which means to pave the way by our side to continue the massacres until the cause is dead. So what is urgent in our summit today is not the aggression and not the killing. Both of them is continued, and both of them are a characteristic of this entity. But what is urgent is the Zionism prevailing themselves on their barbarian acts with it unprecedented acts in political and humanitarian matters. If we put aside our regional security in our region, and in humanitarian, of course, we held responsibility on restore the requirements of living at the minimum level through the immediate relief or the restriction of infrastructure later. But should we continue in this circle of killing, continuous circle of killing, and then relief, and then aggression resulted in declarations? And the most important question is, what Palestinians need from us? Do they need the humanitarian relief first? Or do they need the protection first of what is upcoming of genocide? So here lays our role, and here lays our political work. So if we don't have real tool for control, then no step will be useful, or a speech. There is no use of any speech we deliver, and the minimum level we have is the political, actual political level, not in terms of declarations. And the first one is to stop any political path with the Zionist regime, with all the economic ties and others to be the restoring of these ties stipulated in the immediate and permanent termination in the right of all Palestinians, with the allowance for the accession of the immediate relief in Gaza, and also to talk about the two countries and the initiative, peace, and other rights and other details, although it is important, but it's not the priority in this urgent moment, with knowing that talking about this cause will not benefit because there is no existence of a partner or a reference or a law and because we can restore a right, and the criminal is the judge, and the thief is a referee. So this is the status of the West today, with our will only, and only our will, away from our demands for the international organization and the Western world to hold accountable and hold its responsibilities. They only have colonial responsibilities that able to oppress people with only with our will and with the public opinion in our states, with what has been imposed by the brave Palestinian resistance in our country. We owned these tools. So let's take advantage of the international transfer that open the political doors that has been closed for decades to change the equations and also to the precious lives in Palestinian is a prize to achieve what we couldn't achieve before and what we have accomplished in the present and in the future. And peace be upon you all.
Well, we thank for the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad for speech, and now I give the floor to the President of Iraq, Abdullah bin Rashid, to deliver his speech. In the name of God, the most gracious, most merciful, my brother, Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Crown Prince, Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz, the Majesties, Highnesses, Excellencies, His Excellency the Arab League Secretary General, His Excellency the OIC Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, peace be upon you all. Well, while I'm starting this speech, I would like to extend my deepest thanks and gratitude to the custodian of the Holy Mosque, Salman bin Abdul Aziz, and to His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz, and all to the Saudi people for hosting this Arab Islamic Summit that is held, let's say, it comes in the context of the Israeli aggression against Palestinians to actually to bury the Palestinian cause and also to come at the expense of the Palestinian aspirations. We here reiterate our continuous support to achieve the aspirations and ambitions of the Palestinian people to reach and establish a Palestinian state with Al-Quds Sharif as its capital. Well, Iraq actually rejects the policy of collective punishments committed and perpetrated by the occupier against the Palestinians. Also, we condemn the flagrant violations of the international humanitarian laws, especially the crimes of targeting civilians and residential areas, facilities, hospitals, that resulted in the taking the lives of thousands of casualties, most of them children and women. Well, from here, we call upon having a practical framework that actually to save the Palestinian people from these massacres in the following points. First, to call upon the international community to move seriously to stop these consistent, hideous violations of the Israeli aggressions in targeting facilities with the complete ceasefire of the all hostilities. Next, that to move seriously to safeguard and to ensure the humanitarian aids and conveys to get into Palestinian territories without any restrictions. 3 is to confirm that the cutting off communications from Gaza Strip aims to seclude more than 2 million people and to give room for the war crimes against them. away from the eye and the observation of the international community, in addition to impeding and hindering the international organization, especially the UNRWA works in Gaza Strip. Well, number 4, what is committed and perpetrated by the occupier, the military occupier, is just an embodiment of the racial and policy of enforced displacement of people and the expansion of settlements in the occupied territories. What is done by and made by the atrocities made by Israel is just a criminal attempt to displace Palestinians from their lands, and actually it is miserable, and we categorically reject this policy. We are reiterating the rights of Palestinians to their return to the homeland. Your Majesties, Excellencies, Highnesses, well, the Iraq that supported all the time the Palestinian cause, we considers the Palestinian cause as its main crux, as to establish. We are following very carefully to the humanitarian plight inflicted upon the Palestinians, with, let's say, under a complete silence of the international community, which actually leads to more tensions and also sterilize the stalemate and deadlock in the Middle East and this region, and without reaching a lasting peace solution. We reiterate our steadfast stance in supporting the Palestinian rights in confronting these conversations. We categorically support the Palestinian people in achieving their ambition, their aspirations, in establishing the independent state with Al-Quds Sharif as its capital, according to the international legitimacy. And thank you for your listening. We thank the Iraqi president for his speech. And now I give the floor the president of the Libyan Transitional Council to deliver his speech.
Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, Crown Prince, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Prime Minister, Your Majesties, Excellencies, Presidents of Arab and Muslim states, Your Excellency, Secretary General of Arab League, Your Excellency, Secretary General of OIC, to meet today at joint summit is a historical decision, embodies our common resolve to translate words into action to protect our holy sites. This should be reflected in our resolutions and stances identified and determined by this joint summit. We should be fully aware that OIC was established for the Palestinian cause to protect the holy sites in Palestine in the light of the crime committed against Masjid al-Aqsa, which is still subject to excavation to undermine the foundation of this holy mosque. And we are fully committed to stand by and to defend such edifice. We are fully responsible never to tolerate the occupied forces to go with its atrocities and the crimes without impunity. We have mentioned as such in our statements today. We should translate our will and our commitment into actions, bold actions to be implemented, not for a plea and for a statement. Enough is enough. The credibility of the international community, institutions, and the organization, and what they can do for a people subject to deprive them of their rights, starvation, ethnic cleansing, and by using all means, this is fly in the face of the legitimacy, and we we ask about the credibility about this international community when some countries support these atrocities against the Palestinian people. The root cause of our summit today, because of the practices of the Israeli forces in Palestine, because of such atrocities against our Palestinian people, which forced the Palestinian people to be displaced or to be under yoke of occupation. And we should exert our efforts to protect the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people, despite the unjustified support of these genocides and massacres. Despite this cause is just, it's our duty to express our gratitude and commend the efforts of the African countries and for their people supporting this noble cause and our causes, and to a number of Latin American countries, and to the people who took to the street, refusing and outcrying such systematic devastation against the Palestinian people. The humanity was embodied in the masses from all faith, including Jewish, and this is refute the propaganda of the occupied forces. And I would like to express our deep thanks to China, Russia, and France for supporting the Arab resolution adopted by United Nations. And we invite you to move from words into action with an action plan, immediate action plan, to formate a joint committee of the Arab and Islamic Summit to visit the decision circle capitals, and to join forces with the free people of the world, and the friendly ties and joint action at the level of the United Nations and other international organizations, just to mobilize the efforts to support our causes and to put an end to the current atrocities, and to submit a resolution to the Security Council with the consensus of the Arab and Muslim countries that lay emphasis on the just, comprehensive peace, and to put an end to the onslaught against the Palestinian people, and to propose a draft resolution. And as being the chairman of the Arab groups in New York, to mobilize such efforts. And I would like to remind you of the success of issuing a resolution 160 to cease using prohibited weapons when my country was the chairman of the Security Council, to exercise the pressures to cease fire and to create a safe passage for humanitarian aids. I express my deep thanks for you, Crown Prince, and the custodian of the two holy mosques, and the government of Saudi Arabia for such remarkable efforts and historic efforts which helped us to come together and praying for Allah to rise up to the challenge that we are facing right now.
Thank you, His Excellency, Chairman of the Libyan Presidential Council. And now I give the floor to the representative of the Mauritanian President to get the floor. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful.
His Royal Highness, Crown Prince, Prime Minister, Majesty, Custodian of the two holy mosques, Your Excellencies and distinguished guests, heads of state and delegations, head of the OIC, His Excellency, the head of the Arab League, Your Excellencies, representatives of international organizations, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start by expressing my thanks to the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the head of the Arab League and the Summit, and the head of the OIC, in addition to the Prime Minister, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, for their initiative and their generosity in hosting this extraordinary summit in these trying times. Your Highnesses, Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, we cannot consider what is happening to the Palestinian people today in Gaza as anything other than a methodical genocide that is being conducted in front of the eyes of the international community. And what we see from destruction and thousands of deaths and tens of thousands of displaced people, to include children, women, and elderly that have no way to flee the bombing other than to starve in other places. This is a crime against humanity. Where are the human rights and the sanctity of human rights? Where is the dignity of human rights? Where is international law? And if the international community cannot intervene in the proper way to stop the combat and to allow for aid, fuel, water, and medical supplies to enter, where is the human values? Or do these values vary in importance based on ethnicity? Your Royal Highness, Your Excellencies, Your Majesties, the place of the Palestinian cause is partially due because, number one, they have been unjustly treated, and in addition to that, the holy sites. Palestine is the first of the holy sites and the third holy site today, and has a historic importance. And there are legal UN resolutions regarding the sovereignty of that nation. And we have an opportunity to look at the first of the Islamic League, the Organization for Islamic Cooperation, to see that the Palestinian people have the right for self-determination and to have a sovereign, independent nation. And we have a duty towards the history of the Palestinian people and their state. The lack of efforts from the international community to perform what is necessary in the face of these crimes and to impose a stop to the conflict and to allow for necessary humanitarian aid to enter in the proper quantities waters down their credibility and will reduce the trust and it will erode the trust in their impartiality and create and makes them partial to this, makes them impartial to this conflict. We need to do everything to reduce the plight of the Palestinians, and the international community must be held responsible, and we must pressure the international community to make the Israeli government stop the siege and the combat. There must be an independent Palestinian state as per the legal resolutions. And in this context, we must work together to make sure that everybody has the full understanding that there is no other solution. And I pray for the for the Palestinian martyrs, and I hope that their injured will be healed quickly. And we hope to see the outcomes of this summit, and that the outcomes of this summit will have effective actions to support the humanitarian aid into Gaza and to reach a ceasefire. And I hope that we are all unified in coordinating regarding everything to our central cause, the cause of the Palestinian occupation. Thank you.
Thank the President for his speech. Now I give the floor to the President of Kyrgyzstan to deliver his speech.
Your Excellencies, dear heads of state, dear Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to see you all today in the extraordinary summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. I would like to express a sincere gratitude to the custodian of the two holy mosques, the King of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, and the Crown Prince and Chairman of the Council of Ministers of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, for the traditional warm hospitality and excellent preparation of the event. Today's emergency meeting of the summit is being held in connection with the tragic events in Palestine. The Kyrgyz people share the grief of the families who have lost their loved ones in the course of this conflict, and all Palestinian people who have suffered enormous losses and hardship as a result of the escalation of violence. Every loss of life is a huge tragedy. From our side, the Kyrgyz Republic is ready to provide humanitarian assistance to alleviate the suffering of civilians in the Gaza Strip. Dear heads of delegations, we consider it our common duty to support our Palestinian brothers and sisters in ending external aggressions and the killing of the innocent people, as well as providing humanitarian assistance. The military actions in the Gaza Strip has led to numerous casualties and suffering for the Palestinian people and an unprecedented humanitarian catastrophe. We believe that the murder of innocent civilians, including children and women, is unacceptable and should be widely condemned by the international community. Indiscriminate attacks on civilian infrastructure, schools, hospitals, and homes are not only a violation of international humanitarian law, but also a serious violation of human rights. Dear colleagues, Kyrgyzstan recognizes the legitimate right of the Palestinian people to independence and the creation of a sovereign state. We believe that the only proper solution that meets the interests and aspirations of the Palestinians is the implementation of the relevant resolutions of the Security Council and the General Assembly of the United Nations. In this regard, we call on the Security Council and the General Assembly of the United Nations on behalf of the international community to take effective and decisive measures to end the violence in the Gaza Strip and resolve the security crisis in Gaza. At the same time, it is imperative that our Islamic Ummah convinces the international community to take a unified and consolidated position against this aggression and intensify international efforts to bring the conflicting parties to dialogue. It is essential that parties to conflict prioritize the protection of civilian lives and respect the universal rules of the international humanitarian law as enshrined in the founding documents of the United Nations. The principles of justice, equality, and respect for human rights must guide our efforts to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Dear heads of delegations, we all firmly believe that peace is not an abstract concept, but a reality and a dialogue, understanding and respect for international law. The Kyrgyz Republic remains committed to supporting all efforts aimed at achieving a just and sustainable peace throughout the Middle East. Only then will the parties to the conflict be able to live side by side in peace and security where justice and prosperity prevail. Thank you very much for your attention.
Majesty's Highnesses, Excellencies. Now we have a 20 minutes break, lunch break, the same here, same place, so don't go away.